Let's take a look at intrinsic functions, and you use these in your templates to assign values to properties that are not available until runtime. And the most commonly used intrinsic functions are the ref and getAtt. You'll see us use these often. The ATT stands for attribute. So ref returns the value of the specified parameter or resource. GetAtt returns the value of an attribute from a resource in the template. So you'll see when we look up CloudFormation, there will be a reference section for what each resource will return for ref, or what other parameters can be returned on GetAtt. For every single resource, it can be different. So some will return the ARN as the reference, or the name of the resource, or its ID, or something else. Yeah, just understand there's a lot of variation there. Then we have condition functions. So we have end equals if, not, or. If you need to add conditional code in your CloudFormation, I rarely ever have to touch these. If you are smart about writing your CloudFormation, you should not have to use these very often. We have base64. This returns the base64 representation of an input string. I think we do this in a few places, but I never explicitly think about this or ever have to write it in. So sometimes it shows up, but most of the times I don't have to do that. We have CIDR. So this returns an array of CIDR address blocks. We have transform. This is for a macro to perform custom processing on part of a stack template. We have getAzs, returns an array that lists the availability zones for a specified region. We have import value. This returns the value of an output exported by another stack. We have a few more. We have joins, we have select, we have split, we have sub. Sub is when you're substituting variables. Finds and map, which I rarely ever use, but that's when you're using mappings, but I don't really like using mappings. But I would say that these ones are commonly used, like the join. I find I use these a lot too. Join, select, split, sub. That's why I put them together here. There are a few other ones that are newer. These require to add a transform in order to utilize them, but we have for each and toJSON string. For each is a big deal because for the longest time, this was not something that CloudFormation could do. And this is why people had to use things like CDK or Terraform or Pulumi. But this for each component brings that special level of functionality over to CloudFormation if you want to just continually use CloudFormation. But let's take a look at ref and getAttribute, because those are the two most common ones, and we really should know how to utilize those. So ref returns different things for different resources. You need to look up each resource in the AWS docs to see what it returns. So this could be an ARN, resource name, or physical ID. So here's an example of us using it with parameters. We can use it with resources, but this is a parameter example where we're referencing it with the address VPC. Now notice that I have this exclamation mark. This is a special shorthand to reference it. Normally, you would just write this like in line. You just put in ref, and then colon in the value as if it's that. But this shorthand allows you to have it as a single line. So you'll see me using that often. I don't know if I have like a separate slide to explain that, but you'll pick it up and you'll see sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't. And we're forced in a situation where we can't use it. So when you need a value for a resource and you can't get it with ref, then you're going to end up using getAttribute. And I don't know why I wrote the R on here, because it definitely isn't on there. That just must be a small mistake, as well as up to here as well. But I just used to always writing ATTR. That's probably why. But getAttribute, and again, that one shouldn't be there, allows you to access many different variables on a resource. You'll need to check the AWS docs to see what is available per resource. Each one has different things available. Sometimes you'll find a resource and you'll go like, why don't they give me this information on a resource? This is frustrating, but it's what you get is what you get, okay? So very similar. The idea is that here we're getting it from a resource, the security group, and we're getting its group ID, because that's one we'll commonly end up using quite a bit. But there you go.